I want to start out by giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rakwakwardash, double honors to my teachers, the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect who are the house of David, coming back in the reincarnation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are one out of every 3 Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, who before losing their true heritage, as prophesied in Jeremiah 17:4, were known as the Israelites of the Holy Bible. Now in today's lesson, I want to go ahead and touch upon the mark of the beast. As it is the year of the Karagma, I want to go ahead and cover some latest details. But let me get into the scripture. This is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save that he that had the mark, and that the name of the beast and the number of his name. You're having small movements now that the Cashless Society is starting to become more a reality here in the States. Over in China, they've already pretty much adopted it with the QR payment systems. But over here, they're starting to make that movement. And as you can see in this video, this guy, he's running for office, and he's basically going to try to make it illegal, or if not possible, basically illegal for these shops to open a Cashless Society or Cashless store, and that they have to always offer the dollar option. But that ain't gonna happen, because this guy, he's not fighting against like regulations and stuff. He's fighting against an agenda. This new world order is gonna come because it tells you that in the Bible, right? So this guy here, he's kicking against the pricks. He's fighting against the word of the Lord, but he doesn't know that, right? What he's doing to himself appears good, and on the surface it appears good. When you find out that there's no profit in this, because this was a system that was all set up, 1776, to collapse and be the gateway for the new world order, the one payment system, just like in Babylon. Right? This ultimately is all going to lead to the mark of the beast. But let's go and watch this video.
If you open a dollar bill, it reads, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public or private." The language couldn't be clearer. And yet, even if you have this dollar bill, legal tender, with the full faith and credit of the United States behind it, there is a rising tide of businesses that refuse to accept cash, that only accept credit. All of which raises the $1 question. What in fact does a cashless marketplace mean for society at large? What does it mean to those Americans who have no access to credit? What if you're homeless? What if you're undocumented? What if you're otherwise underbanked? If you have no access to credit, then you have no means of purchasing goods and services, purchasing food and clothing in an increasingly cashless marketplace. Now, defenders of cashless businesses love to promote the myth that everyone has credit. But those who claim that credit is universally within reach are living in a bubble of privilege, far removed from the reality of widespread poverty. 25% of New Yorkers are underbanked. So even if a cashless business model appears to be neutral on paper, it has a real-world exclusionary effect. Making credit a requirement for consumption is a little like making identification a requirement for voting. The effect is the same: the disempowerment of America's most vulnerable communities. But a cashless marketplace not only affects the poor, it has consequences for all of us. Even if you have access to credit, you might prefer cash as a mode of payment for reasons relating to privacy, because it does not involve the sharing of private information.
There's a push for restaurants to stop taking cash altogether. Visa's calling it the Cashless Challenge. It's offering 50 restaurants, food trucks, and cafes $10,000 each to stop taking dollar bills.
Short term, it's appealing, but long term, I still think you alienate a customer base that you don't want to mess with,
To confront the creeping cashlessness of the New York City marketplace, I am introducing legislation that would require every retail and food establishment in the city to accept cash payments. In New York City, it will become unlawful for a business to discriminate based on mode of payment. If you have have the money to buy food, clothing, and shelter, then under my bill, you will have the legal right to do so. Since 1964, with the enactment of the Civil Rights Act, there has been a legal guarantee against discrimination in public accommodations. Private businesses are public accommodations, and therefore have an obligation to treat all of us equally, regardless of whether we pay by cash or by credit. Credit can be one option among many, but it should never be the sole option.
So you see that Jake, he errs, thinking he's doing a good thing, but not knowing what he's doing is fighting against prophecy. Right? You can't beat prophecy. Prophecy, it's from the future, right? We get it here, but again, it comes from the future, so they already know what the outcome is. This is why the Lord cannot be overtaken or gainsaid. Now, that's going to ultimately lead to the mark of the beast, right? As this here tells you, it says the year of Karagma, right? It tells you, let's see. Salaki, it's back here. So it's Karagma.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma.
Haragma, right? A stamp, an imprinted mark of a mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. A mark branded upon horses. Right? Things carved, sculpted, graven works. So ultimately, it's it goes back to staking. You're piercing your flesh for your master, right? This goes back to right here. It tells you in Exodus 12 and 21 and 6 says, then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door and onto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Right? And also later on, it also goes back in Deuteronomy. It says, and thou shalt take an awl, and thrust it through his ear onto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever, and also unto thy maidservants thou shalt be likewise. Because ultimately this old, right, tells you Martzea, right?
Strong's H 4836. Martzea.
Right? That's ultimately the thing that you stake. That's the RFID chip, right? That's the stake that you're gonna put in your body. That's gonna ultimately mark you as a slave to this new Egyptian system, right? Just like the brother brought out that pharaohs used to brand their slaves. The current establishment now, who consider themselves the lineage descendants of the Egyptians, which they only mention that it's the latter Egyptian period, the people who come from Ptolemy, or one of the four generals of Alexander the Great that divided up the kingdom, and Ptolemy took the southern Egyptian kingdom and rewrote everything, including taking the Egyptian god, the Apis bull, and Isis, and merged them together to venerate his son, and also past pagan gods that they had worshipped in Macedonia, and naming him Serapis Christi, right? These people here are now have taken that mark, and this, these people here, they're done for, right? This is what awaits these people. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. See, it doesn't tell you right or left hand there, it just says in his hand. And the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth forever, up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So it's gonna be a lot of Jakes are gonna die, because they're gonna accept this mark. But this is what it tells you. It tells you this is prophesied to happen. That 2/3 of Israelites, meaning 2 out of every 3 Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, are not gonna make it. They're gonna die in the coming wars, the martial law, the pestilence, all that crazy shit that's about to happen. It tells you here, Zechariah 13:8. They shall come to pass that in all the lands that the Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd shall be left therein. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is refined. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people. And they shall say, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is my power. That's exactly what's happening, right? But hopefully this lesson was edifying, and it was able to answer some questions for anybody out there who might be wondering what to do, what not to take. Don't take this RFID chip. The truth is in the Bible. It's not in religion, which is what churches are. If you're Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, the salvation's for you. You got to wake up right now. Come to the truth, but ultimately, if you're wicked, you're not going to get this, right? But ultimately, it's all God's plan, right? It says, Proverbs 16:33, the lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? Because even though we have things happen here on earth, right, that we, individually we may decide or whatever, we take it into our own thought that we did it, right? Ultimately, the whole disposing thereof, what's going to happen is ultimately dished out by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is why you guys got to wake up, start doing your diligent work, find out what the steps to get God's name is, find out what's really going on, and wake up. Alright, Shalom, Makim. Until next time, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, the waters, my teachers, the Apostle Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the elect, and the house of David. Shalom.